Paulo Sotero is director of the Wilson Center's Brazil Institute. He joins us to discuss the latest from that country. A tumultuous time, particularly for President Dilma Rousseff, who is facing not too long from today a vote on possible impeachment. Give us the latest.
Well, on the 11th Monday, the Select Committee on Impeachment will come to a vote. All indications are that they will recommend that she is impeached to the plenary of the House of Representatives in Brazil, 513 members. In order to impeach, like in the United States, you need a two-thirds majority, nominal vote, people that have to be present. This is 400, and I'm sorry, this is 342 votes. Difficult to tell how close they are to that. Some internal accounts calculations suggest that they could be within striking distance. At the same time, President Dilma and her supporters, in particular the former President Lula da Silva, very popular at his time, very much working to prevent impeachment. We'll have to wait and see. Sunday the 17th
is the likely date for this vote.
Yes.
Let's backtrack a second and review what are the charges against the president. You can't be impeached just for being unpopular or ineffective. What are the specific charges?
It's a crime of responsibility according to the Brazilian Constitution, in specifically manipulation of budget accounts in order to hide expenses, to make unauthorized expenditures, etc. It would not be allowed in the United States. Obviously, in Brazil, it is defined as a crime of responsibility. Surrounding all of that, you have this mega scandal involving the oil company Petrobras that was assaulted to the tune of $3 billion, and you have the government, the allied parties, senior managers of that state company that was supervised by Dilma Rousseff when she was the chief of staff for President Lula, because she was a member of the board and later she was the chairperson of the Petrobras board. So all of this, she is highly unpopular in Brazil with approval ratings near single digit. And with two-thirds of the people now saying that she should be impeached.
If the vote goes against her and the Senate votes to approve impeachment proceedings, what's the timeline? How long would it take, even if she were impeached, for her to be removed from office?
If she is impeached by the House, the Senate votes by simple majority to receive the process. This go very quickly, and then we start the clock. There is a 6 month period, up to 6 months. She has to step down. The vice president becomes acting president, and I think the length of that process will depend on what majority, how many votes there will be to impeach her. If it is well over the two-thirds, I think the pressure is going to be to move fast. And the other factor, John, is the fact that Brazil's economy is in free fall, contracting for the second year in a row, more than 2 million jobs already lost. People are desperate. Businesses are basically not doing much. Investments are non-existent, and people are really looking for a solution.
Paulo, is there a sense that removing President Rousseff would change that scenario, or are the problems with the economy bigger than any one person?
The problems with the economy are structural and bigger than any one person. Having said that, there is a perception in the country, especially in the business community, that removing President Dilma Rousseff is a necessary first step. It would create probably some space, a positive reaction from markets, that's for sure. And from there, some space for the vice president to put together a cabinet and start addressing the fundamental problems of pension reform, of labor laws reform, of tax reforms, all very difficult to do, but absolutely unavoidable if Brazil is to go back to economic growth.
Two alternatives to impeachment, and I'd like to see you comment on the likelihood of either. One is some have been proposing new presidential elections. Another is the potential that Dilma Rousseff would resign.
Yeah, the latter is less likely. She is a very determined person. She has said that she would not resign under any circumstances. This could change if she is defeated, she is impeached in a massive way. There would be voices saying, listen, the country is in free fall, the economic crisis is serious, we should try to stop that. Please, spare the country from this ordeal. Not likely. The other possibility is that the Superior Electoral Tribunal of Brazil will make decisions on 4 actions that it has is considering that would cancel the election, would nullify the election of October of 2014 on grounds that money generated from corruption, meaning from Petrobras corruption, was used to fund her campaign and the vice president's campaign. In this case, both would be removed from office. It could take a while. This would go to the Supreme Court, but the story would be, well, if in that case we go for new elections.
Would there be an interim president in the meantime?
And that's part of the problem. The interim election would be the Speaker of the House. The Speaker of the House is implicated very much in those ethical problems regarding Petrobras. He is accused formally of having taken $5 million of money, so he has no credibility. So we would have to resolve that before. And in order to have elections, that action would have to take place this year, because if we wait until next year, there will be, Constitution says, there will be indirect elections for president to finish the term which goes until December of 18.
A final thought on, is it clear what would be the best case scenario for Brazil?
You know, I think you have to judge by what voters, the population, the public sentiment is. The public sentiment now is that it would be better for the president either to step aside, to resign, or to be removed, so the country has a chance to consider alternatives. The polarization in Brazil, John, is enormous, is unhealthy, is dangerous, and I think a vote to keep President Dilma Rousseff in office would have as a consequence a deepening of the crisis, because she does not have, unfortunately, I don't think, any opportunity. She would not have an opportunity to recover credibility. She would govern under the tutelage of her predecessor and political creator, who was a popular leader, President Lula, once, but it's no longer that, or he's much less popular than he was. And the conditions, that what we need to do in order to address the economic problems are things that have become almost impossible to do now, because the deals of Dilma Rousseff and President Lula have done in order to keep some support and prevent the impeachment. By doing those deals, they have virtually closed the doors for any reform, any measure that would restore fiscal responsibility, fiscal sanity to the Brazilian economy. And that's what we face. It's a very sad situation. It's an ordeal. It's something that actually is self-inflicted. And Brazil will have to face this. I personally believe that the country will eventually, but things are going to get worse before they get better.
Well, sorry to hear that, but I know you'll be traveling to Brazil and will be there at the time of the historic vote. So we'll look forward to speaking to you about the outcome when you return.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for joining us today, Paulo.
Thank you.